ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम्। आपदाम् अपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजाः पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। My obeisances to all of you for taking the time out during the month of Kartik to encourage me and to nourish your own self with the sweet, sweet narration of Valmiki's Ramayana. Although the narrator himself has limitations, as I said last week, it is the audience that actually gives life to what's called a sabha, a gathering. And so thank you. I am extremely grateful to each one of you, those who are live and those who hear on YouTube at your convenience. I cannot express how grateful I am to each and every one of you. We are in a very exciting moment of Sundara Kanda, although every moment has been exciting. Some of you have texted me saying, we can't wait when Hanumanji will speak. And me neither. And before he speaks, he has a dilemma. And it's an important dilemma because he's asking himself, what am I to do now? Should I speak? Should I not speak? What are the consequences of speaking? And what would happen if I don't say anything at all and return back to Lanka, etc.? All his considerations, his dilemma. And because he is very, very fixed in his service to Sri Ramachandra, we'll notice how he breaks off that dilemma. This is chapter 30 of Sundara Kanda. And some of your phones are not muted. If you don't mind muting, I can hear background movements and so each one of you. So the first verse starts with Hanuman api vikranta sarvam shushrava tatvatah Sitayas trijatayascha rakshashinam chatarjanam. The Valmiki Rishi, who's the director, moves the camera or pans the camera towards Hanumanji, who's sitting atop the Shipa tree, between branches, hidden by the leaves of the tree, in a tiny form. Earlier we heard, he's as tiny as a cat. Although he is in a Vanara Rupa, he is the size of a cat. And he's hiding there and has been listening to everything. Sarvam Shushrava. And it's not that he heard something, he missed out something. Tattvataha. He heard everything in fact, all the facts he gathered for himself. And Hanuman Vikranta, the one who is a valiant hero. What all did he hear? Sitayaha Trijatayascha. He heard what Sita spoke. He heard what Trijata spoke. And then Rakshasinam cha Tarjanam. And he heard the threats of the Rakshasis. Tarjanam means to threaten or to chastise or to warn. Therefore, whenever we chastise, threaten, or warn someone, we raise this finger, the index finger. And therefore, this finger in Sanskrit is called Tarjanim, by which you threaten or chastise or warn somebody. Tarjanim. So after he heard that, he looked at Sita Devi and she looked like a deity that is heavenly, as if she is in the Nandana gardens of Lord Indra. And so he took in that picture that this Sita Devi, who is none other than, or perhaps someone so celestial, in this garden, the beautiful garden of Ravana, beautiful garden, but of Ravanas, in such a pitiable condition. And he sort of went into this big picture or bigger prospect, bigger consideration of this is that Sita Devi for whom thousands, actually hundreds of thousands, no, millions, billions of Vanaras have been sent in all directions by Sugriva in search of her. And I'm one of them. And I've been roaming around in a disguise, in a small size of nobody can know me, to carefully ascertain how strong this enemy is, Ravana and his entire gang of people. Not people, gang of Rakshasas. And as I've gone through up until now, I have seen his buildings. I have seen his chambers. I have seen his granary. I have seen his treasury. I've seen his kitchens. I've seen his bars, his restaurants. I'm saying restaurants, but places of eating. I have seen the kind of weapons he has. By knowing what a person eats, you get an idea of who they are. When you open someone's fridge, for example, or pantry, and the kind of food that you see there, you have an idea. Oh, this is the kind of lifestyle they live. If you open a fridge and you see 2 cucumbers and, one or two sabjis and something simple, then you know they're living a very simple life. They're not eating much, whatever. You open the fridge and there are all these varieties of cheeses and this thing and that thing. You get an idea. Okay, they enjoy their food. They have a whole variety of things that they want to relish. You get an idea. So then he said, okay, now that I have a sense of who Ravana is and what his army looks like, I think it's the perfect time for me to get down and comfort Sita Devi, who's in such distressed condition. She was waiting to see her husband, who by himself is of immeasurable power and yet compassionate to all beings. This Sita Devi, whose face looks like the full moon. You can tell she has never experienced any kind of sorrow before. Once she appeared in Janaka Maharaja's palace. And that's where she grew up. So he made sure that she was given all sorts of comforts. She married into the great Ikshvaku dynasty as Ramachandra's Pattamahishi, his primary queen. She must have lived with all comforts. In fact, even in the forest, yes, it was uncomfortable, but Lakshmana was serving, and Ramachandra made sure that she's as comfortable as possible. Of course, not palaces, but her comfort was that she was with Ramachandra. In fact, that is the real comfort for her. And now, for almost 10 months, she has been separated from Sri Ramachandra, so she is living through the greatest sorrow possible for her. I should console her. I should say something. I should do something about it. And then he wondered, but if I don't do anything, and let's say I go back to Kishkinda quickly to announce that I saw Sita Devi, without saying any words of reassurance to her, then I will be blamed for not doing my service properly. Because any moment, this wonderful personality, Sita Devi, can give up
micro SD card mode.
But you'll have to
this Janaki, daughter of Janaka Maharaja, will give up her life because she doesn't see a way out. If I go back to Ramachandra and don't tell him, one who's waiting to see Sita Devi, if I don't tell him what Sita Devi conveyed to him, what will happen? Because the first question he'll ask me is, you saw Sita? How is she? Did you say something? And if I go back and say, oh no, I didn't speak to her, I just saw her, what might happen? But is this the right point in time that I can speak with Sita Devi when all these Rakshasis are around her? How can I execute my duty in the middle of such unfavorable circumstances? What if she gives up her life? It seems like she's already put her veni around the branch. And if I do go back to Ramachandra, and the first question he'll ask me is, what did she say? And I tell him, oh, I just saw her and I came back without saying anything. I mean, different people want different things. We want to make sure that Sita Devi's message gets to Sri Ramachandra. And he says, if I don't say anything to Sita Devi and I tell Ramachandra, sorry, no message, I just saw her, Ramachandra will glare at me. And just by that, I will burn to ashes. When a person is angry, they say things. And when a person is very angry, they just glare. They stare so deeply that the other person knows, I'm being incinerated by their vision. What will Ramachandra say to someone who sent all that way and came back without saying a word? And if I meet Sugriva, I meet Ramachandra, Lakshmana, and if I don't convey to them, if I don't speak to her first and give her some assurance, then when Sugriva, Ramachandra, Lakshmana, they will all come here, that will be a complete waste because she might kill herself by that time. Why would such a big journey become wasteful? So I think I should wait and speak to her at the right moment, the right opportunity, because I have to console this very, very distressed lady, because not doing anything is not an option. So I'm going to wait till these Rakshasis go to sleep. And then he has another consideration. Okay, I'm going to speak to her, but how am I going to speak to her? Aham Tvatitham Anushchaiva Vanarascha Visheshatah Cham Chodaharishyami Manushim Iha Samskrutam. I'm very small, little tiny cat-sized. On to that, Vanaraha Visheshataha, especially a monkey. And I have to speak to her, but in what language should I speak to her? I should probably use a language that is used by common people. Manushim iha samskritaha. A language that common people will speak. That way, the Rakshasis will not understand that language. Then he says, but common language is unrefined. And sometimes it's called Prakrita, which doesn't exist anymore. So there is Samskrita, which is very refined. Then there is any language that is also spoken by common. So for example, any one of us, we know there is Hindi. Let's take Hindi and then we'll come to other languages. There is the very pure, refined Hindi. Then there is the common people's Hindi that has some words of English or some other words mixed in it. Then there is Bombay Hindi, which you can't decipher what it is unless you live in Bombay or Mumbai. Same Hindi language, but has so much variation to bring down with full of slangs and phrases that if you speak in pure Hindi, most people in Mumbai will roll their eyes and say, what are you talking? Similarly, Marathi or Tamil or Telugu or any other languages across the country has the refined language and then the colloquial language. For example, we don't speak anything like what Shakespeare wrote. Right? There's so many words and phrases that have become part of our parlance that Shakespeare would have a heart attack. So there is that refined and then there is the colloquial. So he says, no, if I do very colloquial, it may not convey the best of intentions. So he says, Yadi vacham pradasyame dvijatir iva samskritam. What if I speak the Sanskrit that Brahmanas would speak? So more refined. The language is more precise and elegant. And then he says, Ravanam manmayamana mam Sita bhita bhavishyati. Sita bhita bhavishyati. Sita will become scared. Why? Because previously Ravana, dressed like a Brahmana, spoke to her in a very refined language and enticed her. Now, if I speak like the same Brahmana Sanskrit, she may have a doubt. Is this Ravana again? Is he coming up with some new strategy, some really demonic idea of enticing me that I might say something that seems like I'm agreeing to his proposal? And Sita said, no. Once I've already been trapped by or tricked by Ravana, I don't want to speak to this person anymore. What if it is Ravana? So, Vanarasya Visheshena Katham Syad Abhibhashanam. I'm a Vanara, a very interesting species. Katham, how am I going to speak to her? What language am I going to say? Then he says, okay, somehow or the other, I have to speak in a very meaningful way in the language of the people, so it will pacify Sita Devi. So I cannot speak like a Brahmana, refined. So I am going to speak in a very common folk way. That way, it is the least riskiest, the least risky method to approach her. She said, since Janaki has already been scared and threatened by the demons, if I show up like this in my form, she may become even more terrified by hearing from me. She might say, whoa, what is this? Monkey? What is a monkey doing here? And speaking to me, so this monkey knows who I am. Maybe it's another trick. And suddenly, if you see a monkey, any one of us has that experience. You're looking here and there and you turn around and suddenly a monkey is right there. The first expression is of shock and perhaps a scream. So it's just Sita Devi might scream loudly thinking, Oh, this is Ravana now tricking me in the form of a monkey because he can change his form as he likes. He's Kama Rupina. And suddenly, if Sita screams, all the demonesses who have scattered here and there and relaxed and perhaps fallen asleep will immediately wake up and will arm themselves with all their weapons and become as powerful as Yama. And what if they all attacked me and captured me with all their strength and tried to kill me? If they kill me, I don't care for my own life, but if they kill me, I would not have completed my service. I would not have given the message to Sita Devi, the ring that I'm carrying. I would not be able to go back. I would not be able to assure her that Ramachandra will soon come. And I would not be able to convey back to Ramachandra that I saw Sita Devi. What if Ramachandra gives up his life? So I have to do something in such a way that I will not attract any attention of these guards. So what am I supposed to do? And if they attack me, maybe I will not even get to the end of the ocean on the other side because all my energy would be expended in fighting with these demons. But it's not just these demons, because these demons will hit the alarm button, the sound will blare, and all other Rakshasas, Ravana's demons, everyone's going to come. I may not have enough energy to go back. Although Hanumanji has unlimited energy, yet as a messenger, he's in that role. He's considering, how do I conserve my energy, my resources, and only spend in such a way that I'm successful in what I am supposed to do. So I'm afraid that the mission to Sri Ramachandra and Sugriva will fail. And by mistake, if they see that I'm there and they feel threatened, instead of attacking me, what if they attack Sita Devi? Then the entire mission is spoiled. He says, if I'm killed or captured by the demons, I am not sure if there is another person who can accomplish this task. Now, one may consider, because later he's going to speak to Sita Devi and say exactly opposite thing of it, that, oh, I'm just the least powerful person in the entire army of Sugriva. Now, those are words of assurance, because you don't tell someone who's in complete fear that, you know what, if I die, there's nobody who can help you. Plus, he's also at that time, by the time he speaks to Sita Devi, there's a transformation in Hanumanji, which we all have to wait to see what that is. Right now, he's thinking, I have jumped this far. All the monkeys who came with me to that edge of the ocean or the shore of the ocean expressed, some can jump 10, 20, 30, 40, 80, 100 yojanas, and some said, I don't think I can come back. So right now, Sri Ramachandra has entrusted this service upon me, and I'm the only one who can get it accomplished. What if I don't see other Vanara who can jump 100 yojanas? I may be capable of killing thousands of demons, but if I'm exhausted, I may not be able to reach the other side of the ocean and convey the message. What's the point? And then he says a very beautiful verse, which before taking up, if a person is assessing how much risk to take, what kind of risk to take or not, this by itself one can speak for a class, but I'm going to continue with the verse, but I'll give you the verse. It's verse 35. He says, Asatyani cha yuddhani samshayo meno rochate kascha nishamshayan karyam kuryat pragya sasamshayam. Pragya, one whose intelligence is very heightened, one who's very wise. Because there is Medha buddhi, pragya. Pragya is one with full of wisdom and realization. So he says, Kascha, how can a pragya kuryat execute a karyam, an activity, nissamshayam, without any doubt, when samshayam, there is some doubt of the outcome. And so you don't take on any activity when there is so much doubt. Of course, in this world, there is nothing that is 100% predictable, except we know. One thing that is for sure is jatasya hi dhruvo mrityum, mritya dhruvasya jayate. One, so that is very sure. Everything else, we try to minimize the unpredictability of the outcome. And we minimize by bringing in factors, using our wisdom and our capabilities to see the bigger picture, see the details, all of that. Yet, there are certain things that give us assurance that yes, it's worth trying it. If a person has a doubt, like, I don't know if I should or not, such a person can never make a decision. It's also not the right place. That's why you see Arjuna never took on the battle as long as he had this doubt. And once Krishna helped him remove the doubt, he said, Karishye vachanam tava, I will do as you say. Because in all of this, what is Arjuna is assured is not necessarily the outcome, although Krishna said, oh, they're all dead. He figured out that what I'm looking at are all items of flux, they will change. But there is one thing that will never change, Krishna's shelter for me. And Krishna's company, Krishna standing by my side. And therefore, I will fight. That kind of assurance is required. Here, he's speaking a general principle that a person, a wise person who has good intellect, should not take up a work unhesitatingly, should take it without hesitation. I should not take up a work hesitatingly. And say if I don't talk to Sita Devi, that will be a mistake. If I suddenly spring up on her, that might also be a mistake. Excellent, well-planned diplomatic missions can fail, like darkness that is dispelled at sunrise. If the messenger is confused and if the place and time are not properly considered. So, desha, kala, patra, but also the person conveying. It has to be the right person, right place, right time, right circumstances. So, and then Hanumanji says that, or he considers that those messengers who consider themselves very, very elevated because they're blinded by their ego, they destroy the mission. They don't consider themselves as instruments. They think they are the doers. And by that, all they can see is themselves in the picture. And by that, they can destroy great missions. So being an instrument, being a messenger, being a servant, if you will, in our parlance of conversation, is very, very essential. One who loses their identity in that context completely messes things up. So how can the mission succeed? How can I make sure that there is no failure? How can I make sure that crossing that great ocean, whenever Ramachandra would have to come, is not wasted? So he thought that, okay, I have to talk to Sita Devi. I just have to find the best way of doing it without creating fear in her. And therefore, His solution was, I have to speak to Sita Devi. I have to speak it in a way that she can understand and relate, that she will not become scared, the demonesses will not become warned, and my form will not cause unnecessary anxiety. And therefore, his decision is Ramam Aklishta Karmanam Subandham Anukirtayan Nainam Udvejishyami Tad Bandhanu Gata Manasam. Oh, I know the if I speak about Sri Ramachandra, Sri Ramam Aklishta Karmanana, one for whom any activity is not an effort at all. Anything, Aklishta Karmana. He can do it easily as if it is play. And Subandhum Anukirtayan. I will speak about Ramachandra, who is such a dear relative of her. Because Krishna and Sri Ramachandra are Suhrid. They are our eternal relatives, eternal friends. Nainam Udvejayishyami. So when I speak about Ramachandra, her heart, and for that matter, anybody's heart, will never become disturbed. So the best thing to do for anybody, if any one of us ever, when anybody is in distress and you want to make sure the environment is peaceful, calm, without anybody becoming agitated, one should discuss Ram Katha. And that will break all ties, that will break all dilemmas. So he said, I will speak the beautiful story of Sri Ramachandra, who is in the Ikshwaku family. And I will speak to her in such a sweet manner that she will trust me. And then he says, Iti sa bahuvidham mahanubhavo jagati pate pramadam avekshamanaha. This Mahanubhavaha means the great Hanuman. Iti sa bahuvidam, in all these varieties of ways, he was thinking through it. And then avekshamanaha, while he is looking at Pramadam, the wife of or the consort of Jagatipate, the Lord of the universe, Lord Jagannath, Sri Ramachandra. And there Hanumanji began to speak. Madhuram avatitham jagada vakyam druma vitapan antarasthito Hanuman. So Hanuman, madhuram avatitham vakyam. Madhuram vakyam, very sweet way, in a sweet voice. And words that were very, very attracting, and they can never be wrong, and they can never be wasteful. He spoke without showing himself. First, his voice was heard by Sita Devi. And where was Hanumanji? Druma Vita. In the branches and sub-branches, Antaramasthitaha. He is between the twigs and leaves. He's hiding there, but in a very sweet voice, he began speaking about Sri Ramachandra. Now, what he began to speak is for next week. So I'm going to hold you on a cliffhanger. And next weekend is when we will hear how he starts speaking Ram Katha for Sita Devi. Actually, for each person that he meets, although he's speaking Ram Katha, the flavor in which he speaks it, the way he gives the message that is so appropriate for that person is very, very special about Hanumanji. So we'll pause with this beautiful verse. Yatra yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra tatra kritam mastakanjalim bhashpavari paripurna lochanam marutim namataha rakshasantakam. I offer my obeisances, namataha, marutim, unto Hanumanji, who's the son of the wind god, who has a very special personality, that he has a very, very soft heart, but he's also a very, very strong person. Yatra yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam. So when you hear a word twice like that, yatra yatra, it means wherever. Yad yad acharati, whenever. It's not just when, once, but wherever. Wherever Raghunatha Kirtanam, there is the glorification of Lord Ramachandra. Tatra tatra, at every of that place, for sure, Hanumanji is present. And how is he sitting and hearing Ramayana? Not like this, lying down, doing something else, but Kritam Mastakam Anjalim. His hands are on his head this way. Bhashpavari Paripurna Lochana. His eyes are filled with tears and tears are streaming down. Marutim Namataha Rakshasa Antakam. One who can finish off all the Rakshasas too. And he can finish off Rakshasas. He has that strength and that power because of his ardent desire and taste for hearing Ram Katha. So I'm going to open for questions and comments or reflections as you're hearing this. Before I do, something that's been on my mind for the last week is last weekend, in a couple of the questions and comments, I became so embarrassed when I was being asked, how do I study and how do I know Ramayana, and the appreciation that it is sweet for some of you. In that embarrassment, I didn't know how to fully handle myself. So I've been thinking about it. It's been with me for the whole week. Actually, my knowledge of or realization of or even understanding of Ramayana is minuscule. So I spent the whole week thinking about all the wonderful devotees that have contributed in my life in different ways and have contributed to the overall exposition of Ramayana. There are many wonderful personals. And as Saint Tyagaraja would say, Yandoro Mahanubhavulo, there are so many great persons. And to all of them, I offer my obeisances. Particularly, I mean, it's not the exhaustive list, but it would be unfair if I don't say a set of names that have contributed. Without doubt, the unimpeding encouragement I've received from my spiritual master, Srila Rompat Swami, from a long time ago, actually. The words of His Holiness Radha Govinda Maharaj, then the astounding work that Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu is doing in translating the entire work of Govinda Raja Swami. Shubhavilas Prabhu has a PhD in Ramayana and leadership. I mean, how does one do a PhD? Then Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. There's so many Vaishnavas. Like I said, the list is long, and I am a mercy case that different devotees, including some from the Sri Vaishnava Acharya line, have contributed. And I'm always relying on this friend Shamakund, who encourages me from time to time, and he puts some sense into me. and many of you. So I mean, the list is very long. So thank you, and I it would be not right if I didn't express that. So yeah, let's see if there are any questions, comments, thoughts.
Hare
Oh,
Krishna Prabhu.
we would not be having this Ramayana series if suddenly I remembered, if I would not be having this if Shamakund, Yamuna Jivana, and Hemangi did not get on my case to do this. I was hesitating for the longest time. Shamakund and Yamuna Jivana were like, no, do it, say it, do it, do it, do it. I kept them waiting for 6 months or more. But yeah, thank you. Okay, enough of me saying stuff. Any questions, Shri Radhika? You had something? I interrupted you. Sorry.
I interrupted you. I apologize. I want to appreciate your vulnerability with how you processed what happened last week. And the question slash, musings that are going on in my mind. So you were very nicely elaborating the contemplations, the deep contemplations of Hanuman, and how sensitive he is to all these considerations and balancing different things that he needs to consider. Now, where the rubber meets the road in an ordinary mortal's life, like myself, in the real world, sometimes there isn't so much time. So I was thinking it's not about the length of time. It's about the depth of Krishna consciousness, that the time may be very short. Like we can see in the life of our spiritual master, the time that he has to make decisions might be very short, but the depth of Krishna consciousness is so strong that one is able to balance so many considerations within a very short amount of time. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on, because I find myself in a very fast-paced world, with children, where like decisions have to be made quick, and then I later regret that I didn't balance all these considerations.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a simple mortal, you're asking a simple mortal for an answer. What can I say? But look at, let's take our attention to Hanumanji. How much time does he have? The braid is around her neck and on the branch of the tree, and she's going to commit, or she's going to kill herself. I mean, there can't be short time than this, or shorter time than this. It's now or never. In that, he's taking his mind to what is the best way I can be a servant. And somehow those considerations, it seems, I'm inspired by reading that it is those moments that when a person asks, how best can I be a servant in this situation? And the moment the word servant comes in, then it is not what is good for me. It is what is good for the person or persons I'm trying to serve. What is the best way I can be a servant? Somehow pauses time, pauses everything, it seems. I mean, I have very little experience of it. I'm theoretically saying it is that's the consideration Hanumanji is telling us, that in the middle of all of this, Valmiki didn't rush into the chapter. He kept a whole chapter of how many verses? 44 verses going through Hanumanji's contemplations. So here Valmiki doesn't want us to rush through his audience that, oh, he has a consideration and he acted whimsically, if you will, or without any consideration. Not everything is spelled out by Valmiki, but the way he writes and the reason that he takes is meant for us to extract that how much ever urgent it is, how much ever critical it is. And like you said, it's not the extent of time, but the depth of service mentality, the depth of consideration somehow always comes forth and saves the day. That's the learning. The application, of course, is for each one of us. And I know for myself, I might turn around after this and completely forget it all. And I have to remind. Last week I had said that most of my realizations or aha moments are all hindsight. It's all after it's done. It's like, oh, I should have said, oh, I could have done it that way. Oh, I should. So it's all hindsight. So in that sense, I'm always lagging in time from what needs to happen. But hopefully that someday Hanumanji will move things faster in a way that I could write. But that's the lesson, that Valmiki is not in any rush. The scene, if you will, from a movie side, if the scene is very critical. She's about to give up her life. In that, Hanumanji is thinking. And he speaks. And very quickly, and that's part of it, is his devotion, his service-mindedness is so pakka that the conclusion is, thankfully, he went through all that to give us the conclusion that Ramam, or that beautiful word, I don't want to mess it up here. Ramam aklishta karmanam subandham anukirtayan. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to glorify Sri Ramachandra in this situation. That is it. He has digested everything and given us the formula now.
So I actually joined late after the temple morning program, so I didn't realize that she's hanging by her like. So I'm thinking, oh, he's got all night. That's why he's like got all these considerations going on. But this is really good to know.
That's 2 weeks ago. The thing is around her neck 2 weeks ago. It's still there. We have gone through chapters slowly and slowly, but that's the moment. It's a very, very critical moment. Very little time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is
Haribol. Yes.
You were speaking about hesitation and consideration, and I was thinking, there are sometimes I hesitate and not do something even after a lot of consideration, and I'm sometimes so foolish that I don't have the depth of consideration that I haste out of ignorance and do something. So how do I differentiate or balance between consideration, hesitation, and the phases that go into the decision making as to whether to act or not to act?
Oh, yeah, that's what most people's situation is. Either so much analysis that there is paralysis, or the phrase that I like is aim, fire. Aim, fire, and then think. Everything happens, and then we can, like my situation, most of the time spoken and then thought about, oh, I could have said it this way, I could have done it that way. And the other is so much thinking that no doing. Or if you want to frame it, only thinking, no doing, only doing, no thinking. And something in between is what we want. And what happens in between is minimally the sattva guna, the mode of goodness that helps make not just consideration and thinking, but thinking in the right direction, thinking with the right motivation, with depth of, even if not depth, at least the consideration of service-mindedness. Hemangi wants to say something, so she's come and I got distracted when you were speaking. So does that address?
Yes, Prabhuji, I think I have to think some more and try to assimilate it. Thank you.
Think some more and do some more.
Think more, do less. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you want to say something?
Yeah, sorry, I'm not on Zoom.
You're the voice that only we hear and no see.
No, today I'm on YouTube, not on Zoom.
Can you all hear her?
Yes, we can hear.
Yeah.
We can always hear Monkey.
Hare Krishna. So to the point, the going back to Sri Radhika's question, and the way you answered, beautiful answer. But as you were answering, I was putting myself also in the situation, because I'm also like that. It's always hindsight, that moment. But lately, for the past some time, for past few months, I was thinking that to see oneself as a servant, it takes a certain, genuinely to see oneself as a servant, it takes a, to have a real understanding of, what humility is, until and unless that feeling of humility is not there, to put ourselves in the position of a servant is hard. But then when you said, because that's what I keep saying, but today is what I'm taking home is that when you said, at that moment, like how Hanuman said, oh, I need to glorify the Lord, and I was thinking, oh, that's it, because gratitude is much easily, one is able to express gratitude, at least for me, it's easily, I can express gratitude over, seeing, expressing humility. Humility is more difficult for me. So I was thinking, in any situation, in just servant, I was thinking the other way, like how Hanuman said, glorify. So in any situation, how can I glorify if I see myself as a representative of my spiritual master or the parampara? How do I behave or speak in such a way that, I glorify them, because, so many people have invested in me. So I think that it kind of a bulb, lit for me when you were answering her. So I wanted to appreciate
Oh,
that.
good. Thank you. Let's go back to that one more time, because there is a phrase that Hanumanji uses, that messengers destroy their mission when they are inflated by ego. So one way of understanding ego is arrogance. But the other way of, which is more relatable to us or important to us, is when we see ego as identity. So for example, let's say I am in a business meeting and I'm the vendor, someone else is a potential customer, and things are moving, the conversation is moving in a certain direction. And as the conversation is moving, I'm thinking, how best can I speak or say or do such a way that I'm benefited or profited? At that point, my ego is that of a vendor. Turn it around. I'm a customer. Something went wrong. I don't like it. And I'm expressing something, and I'm speaking with, energy and gust and all, because at that point, my ego is that of a customer, or perhaps a unhappy customer. Or Sri Radhika used the phrase, with my children. At that point, whatever the things are moving fast, the identity, the ego is that of a mother or a parent, or some other ego as a husband, or this thing as a son, whatever that ego is. If when considered from that point of view, that ego possibly can distort or spoil the mission of uplifting ourselves and others. The ego is, I am a servant of the Lord, is the cultivation for us, like a practice. We call it sadhana. Every day, I am servant, I am a servant, I am a servant. And we are practicing in such a way that we are hoping that that ego is what permeates all our actions, all our words, and all our thoughts. Kabe habe bole se din amar. That may be far away for me, but at least that's the aspiration. That is the ego with which I enter any exchange. Up until then, it'll be mixed, as Maharaj says. It'll be mixed, at least mixed.
That really helps. Thank you both.
Thanks. Okay, next. Anyone else? I see Sri Rupa's waiting to say something. We can't hear you, Sri Rupa, until someone else maybe.
No, I think that was an accident.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Someone else? Yeah, Jyotirmay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hey, Jyotirmay, beautiful voice.
Sorry, this is Achil Sutta. Yes. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Prabhu, I think you touched base, but I wanted to ask. In the monkey assembly, where many monkeys with a different level of strengths are there, and Hanuman is the big boss, and he was also guided by Jambavan and other seniors that you can do it, and he took this service and he did that. Other weak monkeys are seeing that, maybe inspired. You know, I also wish to do something like this, a service in our life. The weakness trumps the intelligence or the hesitation, and in the corporate world we call this comfort zone, calculated risk, and we'll say this is only for Hanuman, it's not for us. So how to transform the initial inspiration into act progressively, or how to mature the transformation into some activity. I don't know if I put this well.
When you were saying comfort zone, I was remembering by His Holiness Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Swami. I wish I can say it verbatim, but it goes something like that. I'll search for it if I can. And that those who are comfort feasted are experience starved. Meaning those who like to stay in the comfort zone, they deprive themselves of rich experiences. And most people are in comfort zone because they have a fear of failure, fear of shame, fear of whatever themselves, whatever is the fear. Or I'm using the word fear, use whatever the feeling is, something about failure, and that holds them back. Now, in the case of the Vanaras, there was less of that. There was a very honest admittance. I can go this much, I can't go beyond that. And it's very important on a team to each person saying, here's my capability. This is what I can do. And to know real strengths actually makes the team stronger than if everybody says, oh, yeah, I can do all sorts of things, and then it fails miserably. This is a very special mission where everyone's strength, an assessment of each one's strength is important. So leaders, in this case, Jambavan, as he was hearing everyone, he was doing this very excellent assessment, strength, skill assessment. And he turned to Hanuman. Interestingly, Hanuman didn't even speak. Because at that point, Hanuman didn't even realize or have that idea of how much strength he has, what his skills are. Until Jambavan said, yeah, you're the one, do it. And the entire team invested confidence in him. The team is not only individual performance. And I'm just sort of blabbering about team, but it's very critical that the rest of the team also corral around, support the person who's been, I guess, chosen or nominated to execute something. Envy, for example, will say, I'm not going to contribute to that person's success. What will I get? Hanuman's success was the entire Vanara's success. None of them thought, oh, only Hanuman is successful. And to show that, it is not that Ramachandra gave love and affection only to Hanuman. Every Vanara got Ramachandra's grace. And by Sita's grace, every Vanara's wife and children also got grace.
Very nice, Prabhu.
Everybody.
It sounds the SWOT analysis was there even in Ramayana period. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
All right, are we done?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. So last week we heard about all the auspicious omens that Sita my body, like, was showing. Of course, like, we heard how Trijita also saw these when telling about her dream to the Rakshasis and just saying that, see, now Sita is having all these positive omens, so the dream is going to come true. And so definitely Hanumanji also saw this. So I didn't hear like how seeing that kind of affect his thinking and decision making also, like kind of gave him confidence in some way. I don't know.
Where we ended last week was, we're not sure if Hanuman saw, because there's description of Sita Devi's thigh also twitching, which whether Hanumanji saw, we can't say. Trijata saw that her eye was twitching, and she had this dream. But the inner feelings of Sita Devi, at this point, we consider that Hanumanji doesn't know all of it. Valmiki is narrating to us what's happening in each character's, if you look at from a story point, what is happening with each character here with Sita Devi. But for Hanumanji's consideration, he doesn't take that for granted. Oh, there is an auspicious sign from Ramachandra, but that I don't have to be part of, that my service doesn't have to continue anymore. He's considering, how is it that I can assure her? So if you put it all together, Sita Devi is getting all the signs that something wonderful is awaiting her. And the next thing is she's hearing Ram Katha. That is the wonderful thing, which gives her assurance that all those signs are real and it is happening for her benefit. If Hanuman did not speak, then he has the consideration. What if Sita, in her moving through her emotions, said, oh, I got this sign, but who knows? What if Ramachandra will come 2 months later? By this time, Ravana would have eaten me up. Something can happen. Let me just give up my life. He's going through those considerations.
Okay,
Now,
thank you for
clarifying. As a conditioned person, we may get some indications, but we may also have the doubt of, oh, I don't know when those indications will come out. Who knows? I have to act now, as the questions were. I have to act now. What am I going to do?
Thank you.
All right, final something. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. I'm going to end the recording, but I want to say something after that. So please hold on a bit. Is there any other question or comment before I stop the recording or stream?
If there's nothing else from others, can I just continue with that thread, Prabhu?
Yeah.
So, with these upadhis or designations or identifications that we have, there is a certain level of responsibility or service that, like for instance, the example I gave of being a mother, right? So there is a place for that, even in those moments of decision making. And yet, if that mood of service takes a back seat, then the power over, the domination tendency overtakes, and then our decisions are really not made in that mood of service. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, these designations and identities do have their place, and yet when false ego overpowers us.
Right. When I was speaking of designation, it means in the absence of the mood of service, or in the absence of the actual identity. However, at least from the Bhagavad Gita's perspective, Krishna says both dharmas run parallel. One's swadharma and one's dharma by nature or by function. Just the dharma by function can get a person thus far that they can maneuver through life, but it is not necessarily uplifting. So this dharma, or you said upadhis, as a mother, father, employee, employer, friend, whatever is that, is nurtured by the inherent, I'm a servant of Sri Ramachandra, I'm a servant of Krishna. Then those upadhis have a certain role in service. Without that, it's only the upadhi, then it is, it has sometimes the highs and many times the lows, or it has, a range of outcomes. So it's the layer, that the very sub layer first is the I'm a identity, that identity. Over that is the other functions. The say it differently, there is one identity as a servant, and then there are functions, not identities on top of them.
Thank you very much.
Okay.